Hi everyone, and welcome to the TA Job Market Review with me, Robert Nunn. And today, delighted to be joined by the one and only Colin Minto. Welcome.
Thank you, Ryan. I don't think I've been called the one and only for a while, but I'll take that. Thank you very much.
Excellent. So, can you just start by introducing yourself? Give us a brief history of your background in TA.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Colin Minto, I'm a global head of talent acquisition, employer brand, HR technology, and EDI. Very large business card there, I know, but I got into recruitment 24 years ago. I was in sales and marketing and went for a job internally in a company called Securicor, and they referred me to Securicor Recruitment Services, their recruitment business.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we're not going to put you forward, come and join us. So I, like a lot of people, wasn't looking to go into recruitment, but went into recruitment, fell in love with it, and stayed there for my whole career. So I've been recruiter side, I've been a digital recruiter side, I've worked in applicant tracking vendors and recruitment agencies, I've run them, I've built them, I went client side, I've been in the trade association, I've been in consultancy. I've pretty much worked recruitment from every single possible direction in multiple sectors at all the different levels. So yeah, I think you could probably say it's in my blood.
Fabulous, fabulous. So, have you ever seen a market like this? I mean, how would you describe the current job market?
Oh, do you have to keep it clean? It's brutal. Is probably the best way of describing it. Volatile, and brutal. And I think, I mean, we know why. Seismic events have
Yeah.
happened and changed the world and changed people's perception of the world and certainly had a massive impact on business. But just to watch it plateau and pretty much die when a pandemic hit, especially in certain markets, then to watch it come back at a mass pace and where everyone was elevated, you couldn't get people in TA for love nor money, and then for it to depress again so rapidly because of the economic crisis, let's say, and the war in Europe that's contributed to that. It's unprecedented. I mean, the world literally went through things that were unprecedented, but as an impact on markets, totally unprecedented, never seen before, and let's hope never seen again. But it's been absolutely brutal. But let's think about the green shoots and
Yeah.
let's think about the positivity, because I think it's on the turn. I generally believe it's on the turn, but for the last year, it's been savage.
Yeah, no, understandable. And how have you been approaching your job search? Is there any sort of strategy behind it, or what
Yeah,
insights can you give us?
yeah. So I make it my full-time job to get a job.
Yeah,
I get up with purpose. I live my life as if I have a job, not financially, I must add, because that would be not correct. But I have to have a positive outlook on life. I have to draw back on the fact that it's not me. I haven't become, let's say, surplus to requirement or redundant or ineffective or poor, rubbish, crap, whatever you want to say, overnight. I've just happened to be in a profession where it's massively depressed at the moment because of those seismic activities, and you can't beat the market. House always wins sometimes. So yeah, so I just look at it pragmatically, optimistically, taking it on the chin, being myself, waking up with purpose, talking to everyone, networking, asking for help, asking for support, supporting others, simultaneously going out and offering my advice and guidance and network and support to help others. And because you know that compassion is a good thing, and there's a
yeah,
reciprocal release of serotonin when you're compassionate and kind to someone. That makes you feel good as making them feel good. So yeah, much of the same as I would do if I had a job and was looking for a job, or I didn't have a job, was looking for a job. It's a frame of mind, and too easy to go down a negative path if you allow it. So I tend not to.
indeed. And I said to you before we started recording that it's odd to see you in an office or in a building and not walking around your neighborhood. But that, I guess that's your personal brand. But what importance do you put on networking and personal brand when it comes to job search?
Oh, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. I think I mean, one thing I've noticed is there's a few jobs come up online and you apply for them along with 2,000 other people. And rightly or wrongly, and I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone, I feel that that's a little bit like a game of bingo.
Yeah,
It's, it's a bit of a numbers game. And, when you're swamped with, we've seen it ourselves, when you're swamped with applications, you've got to be quite brutal with regards to your selection strategy. I was reading various accounts from various people that they felt that they shouldn't have been excluded from a particular role, particular time, but they just must have been in a category or said something or did something or weren't necessarily a match that enabled someone to hit a button and say no. So yeah, it's a tough one. There's a lot of, I would say, value put on talking to people you regularly, network with, asking who they know, trying to understand what opportunities they might be able to connect you with, talking to the recruitment agencies, talking to your peer group, pushing yourself out there onto the various channels to show your authentic self and, share your capabilities and what you stand for as an individual and your purpose and your values, because it's a bit of a marketing game. It's
yeah,
it's a sales and marketing function. So if you push yourself out there, you're going to get seen, and if you get seen, an opportunity might present itself.
100%. How, in a similar vein, how can recruiters use periods of unemployment or downtime to enhance their skills and knowledge?
Well, I think it's character building, isn't it? When you haven't got a role and you
Yeah,
can maybe get some different perspective and look at what you have achieved and reflect on what you have achieved. I always recommend people look at their CV and look at all of their achievements, and you'll realise actually I'm pretty damn good.
yeah,
So it's a way of like reassessing and reaffirming that you have got capabilities and qualities. I think going through a bit of hardship is good for the experience. It's good for the soul. It kind of is a bit of a leveler. It makes you realize that there can be downsides as well as upsides. It
yeah,
also can help you realize that you can get through it and you can thrive and you can still prevail, because that is a great cognitive behavioral therapy learning to understand that here's adversity, but I overcame it. So if it hits me again, I can overcome it again. So
yeah,
that's good learning. I think it makes you look sideways as well and make you think about, what's really valuable in life. What have I been doing historically to get to this point? And, does it all matter? And what does matter? And what could I maybe do differently? I think certainly in salesy marketing professions and recruitment, I would say is one of those.
mm,
That's where your brain can start looking at, well, what else could I do? Could I do something different? Could I diversify into something else? Could I strengthen my messaging around a particular thing I like to do? And is there opportunity there? So I think going through some adversity and some hardship can be character and character building, and also great reflective time of life,
yeah.
and give you some different answers because you're asking yourself some different questions. And
Very,
that's healthy, right?
yeah, 100%. To turn it positively, then, has there been, or what has stood out as a particular job well done from someone you were in a process with? You obviously were rejected ultimately, but was there something in the process that really stood
Yeah.
out from a positive perspective?
You know what? It's just caring enough to reach back out and deliver the news,
Yeah,
albeit negative news, but just be totally honest and authentic and say you weren't the right person because of X, Y, Z. And in most cases, I've had a couple now where they said, look, we've gone internally, or you weren't quite the right fit for these reasons. And I've said, yeah, I'd have made the same decision. It's
yeah,
just the right call. Yeah, I'll give you that. It's
fair,
they've done their job well. They've understood the brief. They've looked at all of the available candidates. They've selected someone that is the so far is the ideal fit and for that particular role and circumstance. So the process has worked, and you've got to applaud people for that. So I think
yeah,
that communication And even though I know there will be hundreds of people going for that role, and not so many necessarily shortlisted, to get the call back to say, hey, look, want to give some news. It's not great news, but I wanted to take the opportunity. That's brilliant. And that's when they made me think, right, next time I'm in role, I know where I'm going to be looking if I'm hiring. It's those people that have provided exceptional service to me.
Sure. And final thoughts, really. I mean, given the roller coaster ride that the TA industry has been through over the last 18 months, with the demand for us 18 months ago was extraordinary, to where we are now. What's next, do you think? What's 2024 going to look like?
Well, I think we've probably had 18 months of leadership and TA leadership, recognizing and understanding that is probably not the best way of operating. I think we're going to have more people investing in longer term thinking, building resilient workforces, let's say structuring their TA teams accordingly to be able to be the right size and scale for the operation whilst it's booming and the operation whilst it's not necessarily as buoyant. I mean, I don't think we're going to have people scaling and looking at disaster recovery to the extent that, another pandemic's coming. But I think people are going to be more mindful of creating more of a stable team, be that in-house, be that working with their supply chain, being RPO, being embedded recruiters, which is exceptionally popular at the moment. I think that the strategy is going to be, right, okay, let's gear up for the good times, but also have a mind's eye on the bad times.
Yeah.
And what do we need as our core, and what do we need to be flexible? And then building that flexibility in. So, and I think the kind of feast and famine, I would hope and I think, is probably past us now. We've done enough of that now, and seen the impact and effect of it. And so I think there's going to be a more balanced, considered, more strategic thought process around scaling the teams.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. And one final question in line with Stephen Bartlett's podcast. I asked the previous person that I interviewed to set a question for you off air, but that question is, how can TA become more strategic in a growing business?
How can TA become more strategic in a growing business? Okay, this is about building relationships with the C-suite and getting involved in the conversations around the business plan, the business strategy, the people plan, the people strategy, so that you can hang your TA strategy off those. Yeah. So it's what I've always kind of focused on when I go into a business, is to say, oh, where is the company going? Yeah, what's it going to look like in 5 years' time? What is it going to become? Therefore, what does the people strategy need to look like? And therefore, what's my role to play in that when putting the TA strategy together? So I think it's aligning yourself to the wider cause and purpose of the organization to make sure that what you're delivering delivers against that, because that doesn't deviate too much. Yeah, that's a common, let's say, at the start of that process is a 5-year plan. Okay, 5-year plan. What does that look like? What territories are we going into? What skill sets are we going to have to diversify into? Then how can I help to bring that to life? So that's how we can do it.
Excellent. Brilliant. Colin, thank you very much for your time, for your answers, your wisdom, and best of luck with your ongoing search.
Absolute pleasure, Rob.
Take care.
You too.